How do I find a co-packer near me? Now, that is a question that we get quite often. And if you go to Google and you type that in, it is a search that is extremely searched, let's just say, over and over for people trying to find co-packers near me. Well, you don't want to necessarily do that. And the reason being is, all right, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It's Damian Roberti, founder and CEO. So I wanted to put this actual video together, giving you specific instructions on don't just type in Google to find a co-packer for your food product, because it's not exactly the best way to kind of weed out the ones that are going to be good and the ones that are not going to be. So in this video, I'm actually going to go over 7 specific things that you really want to take a look at as you find a co-packer, which, by the way, doesn't need to really be near you. And that is something that gets asked quite a bit here on Marketing Food Online and our other food channels as well, because a lot of times people who are starting their phone-based food businesses or their initial food business product, and they're trying to find a co-packer, they want to find someone near me. You don't necessarily need to do that. You can find a fantastic one that works very well with your business. That could be in California and you're located in New York. So the first kind of myth, if you will, you want to get rid of the idea that you really have to find one so close to yourself, okay? What's really important is that you want to find a co-packer who falls in line with the type of product that you can make it accurately, can have a minimal turnaround time, and maybe even a minimal order process for you to actually place your orders with, and then checking to see on a few other things. Now, those other things are going to be the 7 I'm about to go into. So number 7, be sure to get referrals from the co-packer. Before you dive into any relationship with a co-packer, you want to know from actual businesses that have done actual business with them, how is it and how do they work? What was your experience like, and what can you expect when you actually approach the co-packer to produce your product? Because remember, that product is your baby. That is something you've worked on, and that is a representation of your business. And if a co-packer can't produce it exactly the way you want it to be, then you need to move on to a different co-packer. So you want to make sure you get some referrals, and the minimum, I would say 3 to 5 referrals for every single co-packer that you pick up the phone and you simply contact and ask them, hey, who have you dealt with before? What companies, what's their names? Find their websites, call them up and say, look, my name is Damian. I'm looking to incorporate and have this company do a closed package product for me and do some co-packing. What was your experience like? I have a product that's very similar to the industry or similar to what you're producing and blah, 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 blah. And then you can ask them exactly what their experience was. So you definitely want to start off with some type of referrals from those co-packers. Number 6, be sure to reach out to at least 5 to 7 co-packers who produce the type of product that you're making. If it happens to be salsa, let's say you find 5 or 6 or 7 different co-packers that can produce salsa, then you need to reach out to all of them. Get referrals from every single one of them, because you kind of want to weed out who's going to be the best, who's offering the best products at the best pricing too, and who has the ability to have the right turnaround time and everything else that you're looking for. But you want to kind of scan over the landscape and find out which one's really going to be work best for you. So by just simply going to Google, like I mentioned in the introduction, and just typing in co-packer near me, that's not going to be the best way to do it. That's not the way to go about it. Okay, so number 5, don't expect a co-packer next door. Okay, like I mentioned before in the beginning, in the opening, you want to make sure that you find the right co-packer. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be in your city or maybe even in your state or county that you live in. If you find the right one, they may not be as close as you think. And that's okay. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. What really truly matters is their ability, again, to produce the product for you at a price point that you both can obviously agree upon, and a turnaround time that's accurate and in benefit of you, your business, because you are the one bringing them the business. Number 4, how do they ship? So this is really important, especially today with so many companies that are doing fulfillment centers processes like Amazon FBA, or if they happen to be shipping out to a warehouse where the fulfillment process itself is something that I personally wouldn't be doing, but the fulfillment center would be. So if the co-packer offers a certain shipping service where they can ship that directly to a warehouse or even multiple warehouses, you need to clarify that. You need to make sure that they're not going to ship it directly to me. And let's just say you're working out of your home and you're going to get a whole bunch of cases of salsa, and then you have to ship it back out to some fulfillment center. So make sure that they have the capacity and the capabilities to ship out to either multiple warehouses if you've got a fulfillment center, or one single one that is going to be handling the distribution of your product. Number 3, do they source everything or do you? So again, going back to Google and typing in, getting a co-packer near me, these questions are not something that you're going to answer by simply just finding the closest one and then calling them up. You want to make sure that they are going to be either sourcing everything completely or you're going to be doing that. What does that mean, Damien, specifically? Well, again, let's just say you're doing salsa and you've got 5 or 6 different fresh ingredients that go into the salsa. You've got a container of packaging, right? And a lid, and you also have labeling. So are they going to be in charge of handling all that by you just simply giving the recipe and how it's made, and then they're going to take it from there? Or are you going to be bringing together all of these products? Because most of the time, the co-packers will rely upon you as the client to bring and facilitate all of that and make sure that the facility has that's going to be doing it for you. The co-packers say, great, yes, we can do this. Here's the amount of time. This is the cost. We need all of the ingredients, including the packaging and labeling here by X amount of date. So you need to clarify that because some companies will actually do it for you. But guess what? They're going to charge you, and they're going to charge you pretty good for that as well. And that's going to bring down your margins on every unit. Okay, so do they source or are you sourcing what's needed to produce your product? So number 2, this is one of the most important things. I probably actually would have put this at number 1, believe it or not. But number 2, what are the minimums and the maximums? Now let me go over what that means in a minute, but what are the minimum quantity orders that are needed? So there's a lot of co-packers that are now offering smaller and lower minimums on anything that they produce. Obviously, if it's salsa or even nutritional protein bars or trail mixes or whatever it may be, because there's been a big explosion, a big boom of business that is happening online where a lot of companies are starting from scratch and they can't order 10 or 15,000 units. They might order 900 to 1,500 units. So you want to make sure that you're finding the company, again, not by simply Googling it, but finding the company that meets all of these specifications and then finding the minimum that's going to fit right for your budget. If you happen to be starting a salsa business and you've only got about $5,000 to get into it, and you find a company that can do just a few hundred units, that's going to be a better route for you to do than to actually go and buy more than you need. So make sure that the minimum is understood and it actually fits within your budget because it's your business. And the maximum. So what does that mean, Damien? Finding out what their maximums are. Well, down the road, as your business scales and grows, you want to know what is their maximum capacity. Every facility has a maximum capacity output of what they can create, whether it's salsa, trail mix, or even cookies if you find someone to do baked goods for you. So you want to know what is their minimum and their maximum, because as you grow, if you needed 25,000 jars of salsa and they can only do 10,000, then that might be a little bit of a binding situation. So you may have to end up finding another co-packer. So understand the minimums and the maximum output production for that co-packer to see what is best for you. Number 1. All right, so now we're down to number 1. And of course, before we get to that, as always, if you haven't done it yet, definitely subscribe. And if you're in need of consult or consultations, let us know too down below. We also offer 1-hour consults actually directly with me if you need any additional support or help or understanding the processes to get your business going. So that is done and said, let's jump right into it. Number 1, turnaround times. The most important thing, at least from our marketing food online staff put together, is, to be honest with you, the turnaround times are very crucial. Why is that so important, Damien? Well, because here's the thing. If you are an independent food business and you're just starting out on your own, for you to order 5,000 or 6,000 units and take an inventory of those, and then you begin to sell them online and you can monitor it, that's one thing. But when you get into the point where retailers or other stores or even chain stores happen to put in very large orders, they need to have it there at a certain time. There's a deadline. So the turnaround times are the most crucial and critical things. You want to make sure a co-packer can and will meet the deadlines that they tell you specifically, because if you give a deadline to a buyer who's ordering 25 or 30,000 units of your product and you don't meet that on time, they're going to find someone else to fill that spot. Trust me, it happens. I've actually heard stories from friends of mine who have missed deadlines and they get taken out of stores. So what you want to do is you want to be sure that you have a right turnaround time. It's very critical, very crucial, especially today with so many supply chain issue problems and such. You want to make sure that they can actually bring the output, put the output of the quantity that you requested, and you get it in hand, or the stores get it as they need it on time. So those are 7 critical points to make sure that you answer by not just simply Googling co-packer near me. That's not going to do it for you guys. You want to really narrow it down and do a little bit more research, do your due diligence, educate yourself on what you need to know. Of course, hopefully these 7 things help you understand that. But do your homework and don't simply just find someone that's like next door to you, because they may not be the right fit for you. So if you have any more questions on how do I find a co-packer and co-packers near me, let us know down below. And if you've worked with a co-packer and you've had experience, comment down below this video for other people who have subscribed to the channel. They might use your information that would be useful to help them understand as well. See you guys on our next video.